Hello, Classic Crew, and welcome to today's episode of The Scoop. Welcome to all of you guys who follow my channel, and to those of you who are new, The Scoop is our opportunity to just catch up over what's gone on over the course of the week, what's been going on with me. I love hearing from you guys what you've been up to, so please let me know in the comments. I am the first conservative influencer. I talk about lifestyle, commentary, beauty, fashion, all from a conservative perspective, and I would love to have you join us. So grab a cup of coffee or tea or just water, and let's get into it. So the first thing that I want to talk about today is my surgery. So I told you guys a couple of Scoop videos ago that I was getting surgery, and the procedure that I had done was actually removing a lump from my breast. So I wanted to talk about breast health awareness in that video, and in this video I kind of just wanted to tell you how the whole thing went. So I had my surgery last week. I went to the hospital and all of my nurses were incredible. They were so nice. They made me feel so comfortable. I really felt at ease and everyone was so kind and understanding, and it just made the whole process feel really good. I haven't spent that much time in hospitals, but I don't have a really negative or positive opinion about them. The only time that I've really spent in hospitals is visiting my grandparents. So it's not the most positive thing, but it's not negative. And it was nice that this gave me an opportunity to have a really good experience in a hospital and allow me to think of hospitals in a positive light. So these nurses were super, super nice, super helpful. And it was funny, I was totally fine with the whole thing until they put the IV in my hand. I discovered something about myself when they put that IV in my hand. I still have a really big bruise. I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually really painful. I don't mind needles. I don't mind shots. Shots they're not my favorite. I don't like them. I look away, but they're not horrible or anything. They don't drive me crazy. But apparently the thing that does drive me crazy is the idea of a needle sticking out of me. And I think it's specifically my hand because you use your hands a lot. If it was in my arm, there's something about that doesn't bother me because I've given blood before and I've had an IV before. So that didn't scare me when it goes into the arm, but in the hand, really didn't like it. And that was actually the only moment where I cried. It was the only moment where I felt nauseous and a little lightheaded. I did ask them in advance if they could put the IV in my arm, but because the procedure was happening up in this region, they couldn't put it in that region because they needed to be able to like move things around easily. So they needed to put it in my hand. And the woman who did it did a great job. There was no issue. It just was painful and it grossed me out. And so they actually ended up putting a little bandage over the top that had smiley faces on it. And then I asked them to cover it with a blanket so I didn't have to see. And that was how I dealt with that part of the surgery. But how funny is it that the part of the surgery that was the hardest for me was actually just the IV? I don't know if any of you guys have had the same experience. If you have, let me know in the comments because I don't know, it just freaked me out. But then the doctor came in, he was super nice, and they brought me into the operating room. So then they did put me under, but it was for a very short time. Apparently the procedure was supposed to take about 20 minutes because they were just removing the lump, but it ended up only taking them 10 minutes because it was a very easy thing to remove. So that is great. They stitched me up, they brought me to the other room to wake up. I remember feeling like I was super in control of my facilities and I knew exactly what was going on, and I was having a really good conversation with the nurses and feeling really confident, like how good am I at waking up from anesthetic? And looking back, it's so foggy. I remember that feeling and I don't remember much else. And it's kind of funny because I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I am so aware. And looking back, I think to myself, I don't even know what I was doing. So who knows how that actually went down. My husband said that I did sound pretty on top of it, but I kept repeating myself. So that's that. And the next day I didn't have any pain, which was amazing. I didn't have to take, I think I took for the rest of the day of the surgery, I took some Advil and Tylenol, and it was an outpatient procedure, so I did that at home, but the next day I didn't have to take anything. I wasn't feeling any pain. The day after that was okay, but then the evening I woke up in the middle of the night and couldn't breathe, so that wasn't fun, but it turned out it was pain from the surgery, and it was fine, really. I just didn't know that that was what was causing it, and it was only for half an hour in the middle of the night that I kind of woke up like that. So otherwise, this recovery has been super, super easy. And I did get the biopsy back, and just because they needed to make sure, and it was something benign. So it was totally fine. The procedure went well. Everything went well. But I'd love to know from you guys, if you've ever had surgery, what your experience was waking up from anesthetic. Because the 3 times I've been under for anesthetic, I've had different reactions each time, and I find it interesting. It's kind of funny. So I'd be curious to know if you guys have had a similar experience. Oh, and I wanted to mention that my anesthesiologist and my nurse were so helpful because they know that I get motion sickness. So they did a lot of preventative things to make sure that when I woke up from anesthesia, I wouldn't have motion sickness, and I didn't. And I thought that was incredible because the last time I woke up from anesthesia, I immediately vomited. So it's really cool what people and doctors can do for you. I just thought that was amazing. Next up, I want to talk about the gift that my husband got for me. He just surprised me. So he brought home the other night a record player, and it is the coolest thing. I'm currently having a couple issues with it sounding wavy. I think that's called the wave and flutter. If you are a turntable person, let me know in the comments if you have any advice. I know that our record player is not the nicest on the market, but we just wanted to see if it was something that we would enjoy and we would actually want to use more frequently. So I know that it might not be the best, but if you do have any advice on that front, I would love to hear it. But I was so shocked. It was so kind of random, but the best gift ever. And it made me feel so loved. He bought a few records, and then I went to Goodwill, which I will talk about, and I found some more records and a couple of other things. So I just love that he got me this record player. It's vintage looking. I love the idea of record players. I think that's just the best thing. It's so cool to have that vintage feel in your home as somebody who is classic and loves jazz and loves all of that kind of feel. This is just the best thing, and it made me feel so loved. So if you are somebody who has records and plays records, let me know in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts, let me know your advice. And because he bought me that, I actually went to Goodwill and I got a record stand. It broke in half. So right now it's on the bottom half, but it works well enough, and it has a place for me to store the records, and I bought some records to play also, and it is the best. I am having so much fun with it, and I had a really fun idea. So I had this idea that it might be cool if instead of getting souvenirs on trips, at the beginning of trips, we go to a thrift store and we see what records they have available, pick one out, and then for the rest of the trip, maybe listen to that album on Spotify so that we relate the trip to the album. And then every time we play that record at home, we think of that trip. It's kind of how when you relate a memory to a smell, you can do that with music too. I definitely have songs that I relate with certain times of my life. So I thought that could be kind of a fun way for us to actually use and utilize our record player. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of that idea? I think it could be fun. And then of course I would want to write on the back of the album kind of where we listen to it, just so that it's all tied in together. So I also found at the thrift store this $5 lamp that I thought was so cute and I couldn't pass it up. I loved the wicker lampshade. I thought it was really unique. So I purchased that. I love it. I love finding really good finds at Goodwill. It's kind of like a treasure hunt. Next up, I want to talk about what we've been watching. So over the weekend, we watched Karate Kid. Jacob and I both know about Karate Kid. We've seen scenes from Karate Kid, but funny enough, neither one of us has actually watched Karate Kid. So this was our first time watching it, and both of us were loving it. It's a really good movie, and it really holds up. We had such a good time. It's so well crafted. It really is. And I know it's a children's movie more so, but it's great. And I would totally recommend it if you were thinking, oh, does it still hold up? It does. It's really good. But the reason we watched Karate Kid, which my husband didn't tell me in advance, but I'm pretty sure this is why he chose it, was so that we could also watch Cobra Kai. So Cobra Kai is a show that's on Netflix, and the show is about the two main guys. They got all the original actors to be in this show about them now. 30 years later. And it's really fun, actually. I really like the show, and it's kind of got that feeling of like it's a mix between a teen drama and an adult drama. I'm more interested in the adult drama personally, but it's fun. It's fun to watch. So we're really enjoying it. Let me know in the comments if you've watched Cobra Kai. And the last thing I want to mention is the inauguration. So Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were just inaugurated, but the thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that Lady Gaga looked like she was in the Hunger Games. There was this meme going around Twitter, and Lady Gaga was really wearing a giant gold bird on her dress that looked like the bird from the Hunger Games. And it was really funny. I thought that was a very good call. Fashion is one of those funny things where it can look really good on the hanger and it can look really good in your home, but then when you bring it out into the public sphere, you end up looking like the cover of a YA novel. And that happened, and it was really funny. So I don't know if you saw it, but you can definitely check it out. I'd love to know how your guys' week is going. I'd love to know what you've been up to. Let me know in the comments. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It really helps me out when you do that, and I love to see how this community is growing. Hit that notification bell if you want to get notified of all my new videos. You can find me absolutely everywhere at Classically Abby, and I'll see you guys in my next video.